Alright, welcome to this live. Today I'm gonna show you a demo of how to compare two sheets and explain what have happened. So if you're a finance control or someone working with reports, finance and stuff like that, this live stream is for you. I'm going to show you a quick demo I have built for many years ago in my job that I keep using and save time to streamline operations. So it's advanced Excel automation, but I had to simplify it a little bit for this tutorial or this live stream because there's sensitive information, so I have to rebuild the whole system. So it's a simple demo, but shows you what is possible and shows you huge upsides and workflow automatizations. We have a quick agenda here. We have the problem, manual month-to-month comparison. What have happened? Imagine you have a sheet here. Let's click out of this. You have a sheet here from one month to another. And now I can see it's also old numbers. But let's say we have from one month to another, from January to February, the numbers were like this. So in total 6.7 million and next month 13.8 million. This is just an example. And it's allocating in different areas. And then we have the differences is the 7 million. How do you manage this? How do you explain what had happened? And I have a solution how you can do that. And there's many ways to do this. But let's jump into the presentation again. So you could use PivotTables formulas, copy, paste, and so on, but it wastes so much time and is inconsistent explanations. It's not streamlined. So what you can do instead is, instead of relying on PivotTables and formulas to break and so on, you should find ways to automate it step by step. And the way to do that is you can use SQL to get the data into your workbook and VBA to automate the workflow. You could also use Python, but from this build is used VBA. So you can have an automation overview where you can break down your workflow. What is it actually supposed to be doing, or at least where you're getting your data from? How can you automate some clicks? It all starts with you automating some clicks, because once you automate these clicks, you never have to do these clicks again. And then you can automate more clicks and integrate it with more functions and more automatizations. And that's what we're going to take a look at after this quick presentation. So how the workflow should work, and import once and reuse the logic. So you keep importing it from your SQL database or from another cell, another workbook, sorry. And separation of data, logic, and output. So you separate it. This is the data, this is the logic behind, and here's the output. So generally like to bridge the gap between, here's the raw data that might be messy. We want it to be presented in a certain way. Example here, a quick overview you can send to your managers that explain what had happened. And now we're going to take a look also at how you can automate the process of building a list of what have happened and what it tells us, what have happened, why it had happened, and so on. And again, a quick simple demo for this presentation, but the real automation build is way more advanced than that. I can go more into details about that. We have imported external data automatically, build a logic explanation dataset, and match explanation using logic, not formulas. Because when you use coding, it's more stable and you can customize it way faster and build outstanding workflows. Generate clean comparisons result in one run, and then we're gonna have the VBA structure and design and the decisions and why this scales better than PivotTables. And I don't want to go too much into this. other than pivot tables needs to be updated, and then if you insert a new column and so on, it can be messy sometimes. But once you understand the whole workflow, yeah, you could do it without VBA, yeah, you could do it with pivot table and so on. But this is an alternative way to just have a button that does everything for you. You click and it does everything. And yeah, we can take some key takeaways and some Q&As at the end if there's a need from you. And without further ado, let's jump into it. Thanks for tuning in for this live stream. Let me show you how this is done. So we have these 2 months and we have some explanations here we're going to import, and then we have a blank sheet here. You can see it's blank with no list of order numbers and explanations and categories and so on. And that's what we're going to automate right now. So we can click here and compare the 2 sheets. Generally compare the 2 months, if we will, or like whatever. It could be from 1 month to another, 1 year to another. It could be so many other things. But let's say we have all the areas here, and you can pick the big changes, or you can just, you can also just, select everything. For this demo, we're just selecting everything. Now it's gonna generate a list of all the things where the differences was not equal 0. So it will not find these wardrobe and costumes or neither insurance premiums. So we create the list, and now it had curated the list. Yes, you could have done that with a pivot table also, but this is way more flexible. You can choose which variables you want to import into the sheet. And now you can start with a drop down and explain what have happened. So for example, these order numbers with these order notes, that was last month 127. Yeah, these are some huge numbers. There have a changed in these numbers, and your job is to explain what have happened. So for example, here the bottom line is around 7,084,000, and that's also what we have here combined. You see here 7,084,000. And we can just take a quick test here also, just to show you. Let's say we only pick labor costs 1.258 million and create that list. Then we only have this, and it sums up correctly. So you see, this is what the form is doing. It's quick, it's fast, and it doesn't make any mistakes. Let's just take the full list again and create list. So we have the 7 million here. And now you could manually explain, okay, this is because new equipment, rental measures, and so on. But I've actually automated that further, because what we have here on the dashboard is import data. So when we do this, it will import a data sheet with the explanations already allocated into groups, what have happened and why. I don't want to go too much into how that would work, but you can also automate that looking in the pattern of the data. If you see certain patterns in the data and you jump to a conclusion each time that this is because of this situation, then you can automate that process also. That's what I've been doing in my job. But for this demo, I cannot show you the full workflow because it would just take me so many hours to rebuild this and cut off sensitive information. You can see here it's order numbers, order notes. This is all fake data. Like, I've reconstructed it, so it will take a long time to rebuild the whole workflow for that. But instead of putting categories to all these things, we now import it directly from our workbook on the same folder. So we click import here, and of course it's not working. You can see I have so many macros here. We have, excuse me. Now you can also see kind of how advanced this can get. Import data into explanations. This is what we're gonna do. Then we click update, and now data imported formatted into explanation sheet, and format the header with blue background, and we have the numbers here, the explanations here for each order number. So what we can do now is we can map the explanations. So when we click that, the explanations is mapped successfully in comparison sheet. So we map these explanations in by order number here and also the areas. So that will mean now we have imported all the explanations in one go, in 1 second, which is very powerful to do that. We could also have gone in and explained with some notes here, explanations, but I just focused on keeping it simple to allocate each expense and income, what has gone up and what has gone down and why. And all this can be broken down in, when you look into patterns and become good at automating things, you can also automate what has happened and why. You can look at numbers and actually see what have happened. Sounds a little bit weird, but you can do that when you have a lot of experience in the data set. You see patterns. That's what we took a look at right here and right now. Sorry for the inconvenience in the beginning of the live stream. I have some problems live streaming. I hope you found this video valuable. I was trying to keep it short and precise. I hope it made sense. If you have any questions, reach out to me on TikTok or Instagram. If you want to see more live streams, engage with my content. I'm trying to understand what type of builds you want to see. This was just a quick demo where I try to show how I'm automating things in my job and how you can take some lessons from here to break down the workflow and really understand what is it you're trying to achieve. How are you doing it manually? How can you cut off some clicks, some calculations, some lists, build some lists, merge some explanations or some valid information, or take a shortcut instead of generating new pivot tables each time. Like, you have to break down what's an alternative way to do these things. And the beautiful thing about this workflow has been working for many years for me, but I can still make it even better. So that's the Excel automation build I wanted to show you here with you today. Please like this live stream if you found it valuable, and share my content with a colleague or with a person who's into automation. I really appreciate it. Thank you for tuning in, or thank you for watching it on replay. And then I will see you in the next video.